Tensions are rising in the Middle East. Iran has stated that it is fully ready to respond to any further attacks, warning that it will defend itself against renewed hostilities. Armed groups aligned with Tehran in Yemen and Iraq have echoed this message, pledging to intervene if Iran comes under direct assault. In one notable escalation of rhetoric, the Houthi movement released footage implying a potential strike against the USS Abraham Lincoln, signaling an intent to threaten U.S. naval forces operating in the region. Despite this posture, Iran's conventional air power remains a significant weakness. Decades of sanctions and limited access to spare parts have left the Iranian Air Force operating an increasingly obsolete mix of combat aircraft, many of them aging platforms acquired decades ago. In terms of numbers and capability, this force pales in comparison to the modern fighter wings carried by a single U.S. aircraft carrier. Where Tehran has sought to offset this imbalance is through its missile programs. Iran has invested heavily in developing a broad and layered missile inventory that includes short, medium, and intermediate-range ballistic missiles, land attack and anti-ship cruise missiles, and more recently, hypersonic systems. Weapons traveling at hypersonic speeds, above Mach 5, compress warning and response times, posing serious challenges for even advanced air and missile defenses. Iranian officials claim that systems such as the Fateh-2, which reportedly uses a hypersonic glide vehicle, are already operational. In addition, several Iranian ballistic missiles have been modified to strike maritime targets. This capability was indirectly demonstrated in 2024, when Houthi forces employed Iranian-supplied missiles and drones against commercial shipping and naval vessels in the Gulf of Aden. However, confronting an American carrier strike group is an entirely different level of conflict. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes why Iran can't do much against USS Abraham Lincoln. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted and fastest VPN brand that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte. NordVPN provides a 256-bit encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy and also enables you to access contents that are blocked based on geolocation. Its threat protection system helps you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. NordVPN application is available for all the major platforms as well as browsers. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive saving by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Nimitz-class aircraft carriers rank among the largest warships ever built, yet their size does not translate into sluggish performance. Driven by nuclear propulsion, these vessels are capable of sustained speeds of roughly 35 miles per hour, about 56 kilometers per hour, allowing them to reposition rapidly across vast stretches of ocean. Despite their immense dimensions, locating and tracking a carrier at sea is far more difficult than it may appear. In the open ocean, a carrier has enormous room to maneuver. Once an adversary reports a sighting, uncertainty grows quickly. Within just 30 minutes, the potential operating area of the ship can expand to nearly 900 square miles, and after an hour, that uncertainty balloons to roughly 4,000 square miles. Compounding the challenge, nuclear-powered carriers do not require regular refueling, enabling them to maintain unpredictable movement patterns for extended periods. Even when a long-range missile threat is introduced, the problem remains complex for an attacker. A missile with a reach of around 1,000 kilometers, 620 miles, and a top speed of Mach 3 would take approximately 16 minutes to reach its target at maximum range. During that time, a carrier can continue maneuvering, altering course and speed while coordinating layered defensive measures, including last-second evasive actions. Striking a fixed installation on land is fundamentally different from engaging a mobile, well-defended supercarrier. Unlike a stationary target, an aircraft carrier is constantly moving, actively employing deception, speed, and defensive tactics to complicate targeting. Successfully hitting such a vessel requires far more than range and speed. It demands precise, real-time tracking against a target that is doing everything possible to avoid being hit. A U.S. Navy supercarrier such as USS Abraham Lincoln operates within a dense, multi-layered defensive envelope designed to intercept and destroy incoming threats at various ranges. Its close-in protection suite includes systems such as the RIM-7 Sea Sparrow, the RIM-116 rolling airframe missile, and the Phalanx Close-In Weapon System, CIWS. The RIM-7C Sparrow is a ship-launched, short-range surface-to-air missile intended to counter hostile aircraft and incoming missiles. It provides point defense at distances of roughly 20 kilometers, about 12 miles, forming one of the inner layers of a carrier's air defense. Complementing this is the RIM-116 RAM, a compact, fast-reacting missile that uses infrared guidance to home in on its target. Designed specifically to defeat anti-ship cruise missiles, RAM serves as a highly effective last-line missile interceptor with an engagement range of approximately 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles. At the very end of the defensive chain sits the Phalanx CIWS, a fully automated, radar-directed Gatling gun system. Intended as a final safeguard, Phalanx engages threats that have penetrated all other defenses, firing up to 4,500 rounds per minute and engaging targets at distances of around 3.5 kilometers, 2.2 miles. The Supercarrier embarks CVW-9 carrier air wing consisting of 8 squadrons flying F-35C, Lightning II, FA-18EF, Super Hornets, EA-18G Growlers, E-2D Hawkeyes, CMV-22B Ospreys, and MH-60RS Seahawks. Aided by E-2 Hawkeye, which is a carrier-based AWACS aircraft, the F-35C, Super Hornet, and Growler can take out incoming threats like drones with air-to-air missiles, such as AIM-9X. Importantly, the carrier does not rely on its own defenses alone. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers escorting the carrier contribute their own missile interceptors, sensors, and combat systems, creating overlapping coverage from multiple directions. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers have 96 VLS cells. These can be configured with a variety of air defense missiles like SM-2MR Block 3B, SM-3, SM-6, as well as ESSM, or Evolved Sea Sparrow missile that can counter drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. Given this layered architecture, experts widely assess that Iranian missile systems would struggle to penetrate such defenses, even if launched in large numbers. The same assessment applies to unmanned aerial systems, which are particularly vulnerable to integrated air defenses. Undersea threats are also constrained. Iran's submarine force, including aging Kilo-class diesel-electric boats, is considered relatively noisy by modern standards and would likely be detected and tracked by U.S. Navy Virginia-class attack submarines accompanying the carrier, long before posing a serious threat. U.S. Navy supercarriers, Nimitz or Ford, are very resilient. On June 18, 2021, the U.S. Navy conducted the first major explosive test on USS Gerald R. Ford as part of its Full Ship Shock Trials FSST program, marking a critical milestone in evaluating the survivability of the Navy's newest aircraft carrier. As part of the trial, the U.S. military detonated an underwater explosive charge weighing roughly 20 metric tons, about 40,000 pounds, in close proximity to the carrier. The resulting shock wave was so intense that it registered 3.9 on the Richter scale, an effect comparable to the simultaneous detonation of around 100 modern depth charges. Such shock events are designed to replicate the kinds of forces a warship could experience in combat, whether from anti-ship missiles, naval mines, torpedoes, or even secondary explosions caused by nearby vessels being struck. The goal of FSST is not limited to testing hull strength alone. It also examines how critical systems, including propulsion, electronics, combat systems, and even components associated with the nuclear reactors, perform under extreme stress. Over a 4-month testing period, USS Gerald R. Ford was subjected to 3 separate underwater detonations, each conducted progressively closer to the ship to increase the severity of the shock. The final and most demanding explosion took place on August 8, 2021, concluding the FSST campaign. According to the ship's commanding officer at the time, Captain Paul Lancelota, the results were unequivocal. He reported no catastrophic system failures, no uncontrolled flooding, and no fires during the trials, an outcome that underscored the carrier's robust design and resilience. These results highlight a key reality of modern naval warfare. Disabling a U.S. supercarrier would likely require a direct and highly precise strike. Near misses and blast effects alone are unlikely to be sufficient. Given this standard, the prospect of Iranian missile systems achieving such accuracy, especially in an environment saturated with electronic warfare and jamming, remains highly questionable, particularly when many of those missiles rely on relatively basic guidance technologies.